Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBit Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. So today we're going to be going live and talking about the top stocks that you guys see value in. If you guys ever want to tune on into any of these live sessions, I host them every single Sunday at around 6 to 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So make sure that you drop a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you guys learned something new, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. So before we start breaking down your guys' stocks, one of the things that I feel like a lot of people are going to be asking about is Tesla and the recent news, right? So if you guys haven't heard, Tesla over the weekend, not too sure if we're going to see a direct effect right away on Monday, but I just thought it would be something worth talking about since it's something that's pretty relevant and that happened over the weekend. So Tesla plans to recall over nearly 300,000 cars in China. So a lot of you guys know that recalls are definitely not a good thing, right? We've seen it time after time happen, not just with automakers, but with a lot of different manufacturers, right? This happened with Peloton, PTON, and it acted as a direct negative catalyst. So it's very unfortunate to see that this is happening. But if you guys remember when PTON or Peloton did their 125,000 recall of their treadmills, it dropped about 10%, right? So it dropped from highs of 100 all the way to lows of 79, pretty much $80 a share. Now, we have Tesla coming from a huge rally, right? Last week, it had 3 consecutive or 4 consecutive green days, and we hit highs of nearly $700 a share. Now, this isn't the best news, right? So we'll see how the market reacts. If we see that it's pulled on back quite a bit during the pre-market session, then you can kind of give and take. If anything, I mean, it hasn't really pulled back since its peak. Friday was its first red day in like about 3 to 4 days. So we'll see if we pull back to the EMA line. We'll see if we pull back to the SMA line. I'm just excited to follow up, and we can see where Tesla goes from there. So just make sure that if you are someone that wasn't aware of it, that you look a little bit more into it and that you at least understand what is causing the pullback. I would hate for you to like cut losses on your Tesla position or sell your position completely just because you're not aware of what's going on, right? So I'm excited to follow up. If Tesla does pull back enough, I'd love to buy a couple more shares and ride the recovery, right? We all know that this news doesn't act as a positive catalyst, but for those that are going long on something, can view this as an opportunity to get in, to ride the recovery. So you guys can let me know what you guys think about that. So I'm going to say what's up to a couple of people that we have tuning on in. Make sure that if you are tuning on to the live, you guys can consider dropping a thumbs up. So what's going on, TC? What's going on? Almir, Adam, Bradley. We got Devo, Miguel, Keith, Jay, Dub, Henry, Acacia. How you doing? So we got TC, Chris, Kevin, Adam, Alethea, VP, Genesis, Gabriel, Changing Times, Roddy Ridge, Jaheim Jackson, Keith, Candy, Bradley. So is that Sohu? I'm really bad at that one. What's going on? Troy, George, Justin, Flood, Jeremy, Salim, CJ, Joshua, Brian, Amir, Alex. What's up? Firefighter Drew. Appreciate it. So 716 George, Sonny Polacco, Changing Times. What's up? So what's going on? Cam, Abdulziz. Oh man, I'm really bad with these names. So Eli, Luis, Hardev, Ahmed. Nice. So I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your Sunday to just tune on in. I'll make today's video pretty quick. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So any stock that you would like me to break down. What's going on, John? John Motivation. Hope you're having an amazing weekend. So appreciate you, man. Thank you. So Shop and NVIDIA. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'll go ahead and start with Shopify. So a lot of you guys should already know, like, what is it that I look for when it comes down to a good stock, right? One of the things that I really like to look for are stocks that are bullish on the 180-day 4-hour time frame. That's stocks that are cheap, somewhat of a good deal that we can buy the dip on and then ride the recovery, right? So we'll see where we go from here. So we got Shop, if anything, right? Overall tech had a very strong performing week last week. The NASDAQ market absolutely killed it. Shopify hit overall highs of 1,500. unreal, right? So a huge rally. Now, if you're asking, hey, is Shopify a good deal? I can't say it's a good deal, right? It's not like, oh man, it's super cheap right now. I'd love to get in and ride the recovery. This is more of like, oh, hey, this has been bullish. Let's see if it continues to uptrend and bounces off the EMA, and if it continues to rally. But more often than not, when something pushes up as drastic, as aggressive as this, you tend to see the stock pull on back to previous support levels. So if that's 12, 1300, whatever the case might be, it wouldn't be much of a surprise if Shopify corrects itself in some form of way as it's done before, right, at these previous levels. So just make sure you take that into consideration. I wouldn't view Shopify as a really good deal, but it is bullish, right? And if it validates the support at the EMA line and it continues to uptrend, then great, so be it. But we can't be surprised if it breaks below the EMA line and then pulls on back here. So I would rather focus on or wait for a better deal. So I would, as you guys can see, I have my alert set here. So if we do see a pullback below 13,000 or 1,300 for Shopify, then yeah, I would view that to be a better deal for a recovery. So let me know what you guys think about that. Here we go. All right, so we got Fedex. A lot of people asking about Fedex. What was the ticker symbol for Fedex again? I forgot. Is it just FDX? It is, right? Yeah, FDX. All right. Here we go. So FDX was a pretty consistent overall uptrend, hit highs of $320, pulling it on back to around $290. One of the things that you guys can see is that what used to act as a support level, which is the SMA line, this green line that you see right here, you guys can see the bounce that it's had before. It broke below the SMA line and is now acting as a resistance level. Now we're getting rejected. And we normally see that before a reversal, before it continues to sell off. So until proven otherwise, why would we buy Fedex right now when it could still potentially sell off, right? And if it's continuing to show signs of a resistance level at $300 or at the SMA line, then maybe we should just wait for more clearer confirmation of an overall uptrend. Or if you do decide to get in early, just really take into consideration your position size and hopefully it's not too heavy. So we got David K with the ticker call out format. I really do appreciate that, David. So we got HBM and then we got CAT from Salt Life. So let me go ahead and break those two down for you. So HBM and then CAT, right? Which is, I just want to make sure, yeah. Okay, that's Caterpillar. Very low volume, I can see that right away just by the way the candles are moving. So this one looks like it has a little bit lower volume. Yeah, you can tell right away. I personally wouldn't trade something with this low volume. I'm just sharing that with you, right? I wouldn't go in with a heavy position. It's easier for it to fluctuate in price. You guys can see that based off of previous lows. I see why you're paying attention to it for sure. It tends to find a support level right around 580, right? We've seen it here. So on the technical aspect, it makes sense. This is not something that's been super bullish, but I can see why if you take a light position, right? A smaller position at these lower levels, and if it begins to indicate signs of an uptrend like it has before, maybe breaks above the SMA line and actually begins to recover, then yeah, adding more to the position size, I can only imagine how much percentage potential it has to offer based off previous highs, yeah, around 40%. So I see why you're paying attention to it. I would just say that it's been more bearish than it has been bullish, and because of that, I wouldn't be so eager to jump on into the stock. So let's go ahead. But I see why you're talking about it, because it's so oversold, which means that it's so cheap. So Caterpillar overall was very bullish, right? We were trading above the SMA line. We can see that now. We got rejected by around 246. It pulled on back and it's been making lower highs and lower lows. Again, it's testing support level at the EMA line. If we begin to indicate signs of a recovery, then great, so be it. But it looks like it's making lower highs and lower lows. It looks like we're going to break below the EMA line and continue to head on down here. So if you do take an early position on CAT, just make sure you take into consideration your position size, right? It shouldn't be the end of the world that, if you're 5% invested or 10% invested of whatever it is that you intend to invest in, you can tolerate pullbacks, but make sure that you don't go all in and hope or expect it to recover right away, and then you end up just putting yourself in an unfortunate situation. And if you guys have any experience in the market, right, I'm sure you guys can all agree that, position size is so important when it comes down to feeling comfortable with your trade. So we got Ryan with NIO. I appreciate you posting that in the ticker call out format. So NIO had, again, another really nice bull run just based off of overall tech performance. We could see that EV had a strong performing week, especially with NASDAQ up, nearly hit highs of $50, getting rejected. If we see the tech market pull back, NIO will most likely follow. Do I think NIO is a cheap stock? Let me just ask you this very simple question. Based off of how it was trading before, making these lower highs and lower lows, this performance of last week is amazing, right? But if I were to ask you, based off of how it's performed when it pushes up, gets rejected around $50, and then pulls on back, pushes up, gets rejected, pulls on back, pushes up, gets rejected at $43, and then pulls on back, almost every single time to the same support level. If I were to ask you, hey, do you think that it's going to pull on back like it has the previous 4 times? Or do you think that this time it's actually going to indicate signs of an uptrend? Just based off previous patterns, it's more bearish than it is bullish. If you already got in at lower price points and you're at these levels, then, great job, right? I would lock in profits. I would follow with a trailing stop loss with some form of, stop limit, as in like risk management or knowing when to lock in profits if this thing does begin to pull on back. It would be great to see NIO recover, right? But we've seen it time after time not do that. So I wouldn't be very surprised if it pulls on back. I just wanted to give you a real world example. So what's going on, Brendan? This is my first live. Happy to have you here. So hopefully we earn your thumbs up and hopefully you learned something new. So VTNR. Here we go. So nothing popped up for VTNR. So let me know if I did something wrong on that one. So we got ATHM. Alrighty, here we go. So very consistent descending pattern. I can see why you're paying attention to it based off of how oversold and how cheap this is. I'm never here. You guys know that I'm never here to tell you where to buy, what to buy, anything like that. I just like sharing my 2 cents. All I can share with you from my experience, and you can ask anyone else, is with these stocks, and you can see this is the past 180 days. If I were to ask you, hey, if you have $1,000 and this is all you worked for, and you look at the previous pattern for the past 180 days, is this something that you would put your $1,000 into? Do you think all of a sudden it's just going to begin to shoot up? That's what we hope for, right? Because when you're just getting started, you're excited, and I get that. But patterns tend to repeat themselves, and I agree that they don't always have to. I've made the mistake, I know so many times, that I try to buy the dip on something that's a falling knife. It just continues to sell off and it continues to sell off. And it just, at the end of the day, it's just, so oversold and it's so bearish more than it is bullish. And because of that, it's not that I'm against the idea of, hey, this thing can recover. I know it can. Anything can happen, right? But based off previous patterns, this probably isn't the safest trade. This probably isn't, if you have no experience managing risk, position size, knowing when to lock in profits, when the overall direction is against you for the past 180 days, you're almost kind of just putting yourself in a position to fail. So from my experience, I would rather not trade stocks like this than actually put money into them. I know that they can push out of nowhere, right? And they can recover to some degree, but they tend to get rejected more than they begin to recover. So because of that, I would rather focus on something that's bullish and just make it easier on yourself that the direction's actually in your favor. You guys can let me know what you guys think about that. So we got Adam with PLUG. I appreciate you asking. So PLUG. So under NASDAQ, we can see that again, also very, very bearish for the past couple of months, honestly. It's consolidating around this general area. I don't see this to be a missed opportunity. I don't see this to be like, wow, I need to get in now and ride the recovery, right? A lot of consolidation around the SMA line. As long as it holds above the SMA line, then great. But it already looks like it's breaking below EMA. It already looks like it's pulling on back to the SMA, and it wouldn't be much of a surprise if it pulls on back even lower, right? It has before. It wouldn't be much of a surprise if it does it again. I would love to see this thing recover, but it's not indicating signs of an uptrend. So because of that, I would just have to say, until proven otherwise, I don't want to partake in it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's go ahead and break down a couple more, and then we can go from there. So we have a lot of people asking about Nikola. I'd love to break down Nikola. The thing that just surprises me is that you've typed it in so many times, Keith, and you've never put it in the ticker call out format. So all we ask you to do is, if you can, whenever you do get the chance, plan out your trade. It's for your own good, right? Here we go, ticker symbol F. Very overbought, right, at 1658. Looks like now it's finally testing support at EMA line. We'll see if it bounces here and actually begins to recover. Wouldn't be very surprised if, again, making lower highs and lower lows if it pulls on back. I like that you're paying attention to this because this thing was previously very bullish. So I like that, right? You're trying to see, hey, are we going to make higher highs once again? Let's follow up with it. Set an alert for the break below EMA. Set an alert for higher highs, a break above 1550, right? Let's go ahead and follow up with that. And I don't want to upset you, right, Keith? So I get you might be new to our group. So maybe you haven't seen the ticker call out format. It's all good. But Nikola, yeah, very bearish. Looks like it's been trying to recover. Same resistance level, right around below $20, and it gets rejected every single time. Doesn't mean that it has to get rejected again, but just know that if the NASDAQ market sells off, then this thing will most likely pull back as well. And it doesn't hold at these higher levels. So if you were to ask me, hey, is this a cheap stock that I can take part of right now? I wouldn't really say so, right? It tends to get rejected at $19, $20, and it pulls on back. $19, $20 wouldn't be much of a surprise if it pulls on back. So let me know what you think about that. So here we go. Let's go ahead and break down. I'm going to go through 3 more pretty quickly. So what's going on, Ron? PSFE. Here we go. So PSFE, more bearish than it is bullish. You guys can let me know what you think. But yeah, this just, again, if you have $1,000, I like to use this example because I think it really makes it simple, right? Look at the big charts, right? If you were to have just $1,000 and you were to put it in something, even just trade it, is this really what you'd put it in? Knowing the past 180 days, how it's been making lower highs and lower lows, it's been selling off, and you would put $1,000 into this, right? It just, what changes this time that didn't change last month or the month before that or the month before that, right? It's like it's been selling up, so its direction still hasn't changed. It's not making higher highs. It's consolidating, but definitely not higher highs. So just take that into consideration. I would hate for you guys to put yourself in a hopeful position where there's no indication of a recovery, right? All right, so TRCH. All right, so TRCH. So Torchlight. So yeah, this one was a really popular one. A lot of people don't like when I talk about it too much, and or they don't like what I say about it. I'm never against any stock, right? We just have a lot of beginners that watch our videos, and I need to take that into consideration. So people are always like, hey Ricky, why don't you hype up the stocks just like everyone else? And it's just because I like talking about both sides. I'm all for it. I think you can make money off of anything, but it's very naive for you to think that it can't pull back. When you're having a conversation with someone, and if you talk about the risk involved, and if they get offended because you're talking about that there's risk involved or that it can pull back, they're like, no, that's not behind the movement or whatever the case might be. It just highlights how naive they are about it, right? There's 2 sides to every opportunity. It doesn't matter, right? Of how much potential it might offer. Just as quickly as it goes up, it can easily come down. And this is what I always like to talk about. I think it's great if you partake in the momentum and you know how to day trade it, you know how to manage your risk, you know how to lock in profits, you know how to cut losses. Great, you all do it intraday. But then when it pulls on back, you can't be surprised, right? You're really surprised something pulls on back after it pumped, 50%? No. Not at all, right? So I think this thing's absolute trash. I think it's an absolute pump and dump. You could see with the volume itself that it was being manipulated, and it got what it experienced, and the tension was there, and now it pulled on back. Can it rally again? Of course, if there's enough people, right, behind a movement, anything can happen. It can definitely pump up again, but am I going to put money behind something and hope that it continues to pump? No, it's just a little different, right? You just need to be very, very aware of when these pump-a-dums are present. And again, I think it's super important to just talk about it. You don't have to get offended, right? It's just having the, simple conversation of talking about the risk involved. So let me know what you guys think about that. Again, all I ever try to talk about is position size, risk management, and trying to make sure that you have your future self's best intent in place, right? Last one's going to be CLVS. What's going on, Jared? Long time no see. CLVS. Here we go. So let's go ahead and check this one out. Consolidated quite a bit right around that $5 support level. Looks like it gets pumped up from time to time, but it doesn't really hold at these overbought levels. So I wouldn't see much, I can see why you might hold a light position at these lower levels, but just when it pushes above $7.30 to $8, it doesn't tend to ever hold above here for a very long period of time before it pulls on back. One of the stocks that I quickly did want to talk about is BBBY. They do have earnings this upcoming week. I think it's Wednesday. And the reason that I want to talk about it is that it just recently pushed up, right? Pulled on back. It was a very popular stock for a very short period of time. And I think as they report earnings, if things don't go as expected, the reason I'm sharing this is because I know that it was pumped just a couple days ago where it pushed up to highs of $47. I would hate for you to hold something and ride it all the way down. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that earnings report that is coming out this week, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's what the E there is for. So let me know what you guys think about that, and then we can go from there. But this week should be pretty interesting. I hope that you guys are prepared for it. We quickly talked about the news on Tesla and nearly 300,000 cars that are going to be recalled or potentially recalled, and most likely not going to act as a positive catalyst. So if you're part of the Learn Plan Profit group for the live trading session, I might go live a little early. A lot of you guys know that I talked about shorting Tesla last week. It's not something that I would recommend for anyone, but this news, if it does act as a negative catalyst, I will probably just add more to my short position. And again, I'm going to be talking about that during the live trading session tomorrow at Market Open. So Jared was like, "Hey Ricky, sorry, I haven't day job had me working currently." It's all good, homeboy. So I really do appreciate you taking time and joining us for the Sunday Stock Talk. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I will see you for our live trading session tomorrow. If you guys do want to join us, you guys know that it's the second link down below. You don't have to, but if it's something that you want to be able to be a part of and you want to be able to watch me trade live every single day, then of course, we'd be more happy to have you. And if you're asking if LPP is a monthly subscription, it's not. It's a one-time payment. It gives you lifetime access to not just the course and the updates, but of course the daily live trading sessions. So what's going on, Oscar? So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I hope and wish you guys an amazing rest of your Sunday. Continue working hard, continue following dreams, let your passion be what drives your success. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green